Hello there, and welcome to the MSP Hire podcast. My name is Andrew, and today we have Sarah Stewart, the president of MSP Hire, and Marjorie Wico, also with MSP Hire as the lead recruiter, here to talk to us about job descriptions, why they are important, and we will provide examples of job descriptions that will attract the right candidates and touch on a few things not to be included in job descriptions. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Sarah, and maybe you can share with us why we are talking about this and why it is important to have a well-crafted job description.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. A job description is basically just a resume for the organization that's hiring. So we have spent a lot of time in our little organization here talking about resumes and what to do and what not to do with a resume, because you want to put your best foot forward and you want to show why you're an easy choice. That's the exact same thing that you're looking for in a well-crafted job description. It should be very easy for me as a candidate to see why this is a great place for me to work.
Okay, that's great. Marjorie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I agree. It's what you advertise yourself to be for these candidates. And if you're looking for a candidate that will take you seriously, then you should take your job description seriously too.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I definitely agree with that. 100%. So let's talk about job descriptions a little bit and dig into some of the different sections of a job description, is what their function is, and provide some examples of what a great job description looks like. Usually there's always some kind of intro that introduces the company, right? So would either one of you, maybe Marjorie, can you give me some examples of like what a great introduction on a job description would be?
Well, the introduction that you should put on a job description really should emphasize why you're a great place to work. You can put anything that makes you stand out, anything that you value, anything that could make your ideal candidate relate to what you're doing or what you guys do as an organization. And if you're looking for anyone from the haystack, then go post a typical job description from ChatGPT or whatever, anything you copied from Google. But if you're looking for someone to be a good fit for your company, a culture fit, someone who shares the vision of your organization, then you can communicate that with a good intro on your job description for sure.
I can add to that. Like, let's say you have an office full of people that love comic books, which in our industry is pretty common. Do you love DC or Marvel better? Do you prefer software X over software Y? Come and join our team where we battle out weekly which of these two are better. You read that job description and you're like, okay, this is not a boring place. This is a place that people have fun. And this is really capturing my attention. And I feel excited and inspired to apply to this place. You already have more investment from that candidate than you would if you just had something generic.
No, yeah, that definitely makes sense. So moving on then, like after the job description, there's usually the job title. I've seen a lot of interesting job titles out there. But I think that we all agree that sticking with like the industry standard title is probably the best route to go. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just another way to be transparent. It's fine and cute to be cutesy maybe somewhere in your job description, but basically, these candidates are really tired. They're really tired because they've already applied. I mean, if what I'm hearing is true, they've already applied to 400 locations. They've already had 40 interviews. So they're looking down the list, and you need them to land on the job they're looking for. So to be cute doesn't work in a job title. The other thing that's interesting, and Marjorie and I have run into this quite a bit lately, is if you're having a hard time attracting a good number of candidates, it's often the job title that can be tweaked, and that whole trajectory can change.
Yeah, because these candidates, they look for jobs based on the job title, right? They put in the keywords that make sense for them, and that's how they find your job. And if you're putting ninja or whatever in your job title, then that is not likely to get, or that's not likely to get to the ideal candidate you're trying to reach for your job post. Also, I do remember having a conversation with one of my recent interviews that he's been doing level 2 work for his MSP for a while now, but he doesn't, or no, yeah, he's been level 2, but he has been doing level 3 jobs or level 3 roles in his MSP, and he was looking for a place who could give him the title that he's been doing for a long time now. And I guess that's something that we have also take into consideration, that these people, although they're just job titles, they care about it too, because that's what helps them take that step to the next step to their IT career. So yeah.
That's a great point.
And I would also like to add too, I mean, and this is just a small thing that just makes things easier, because as soon as they read that job title, if it's the correct job title, industry standard, they already know what the day in and day out of that job is supposed to be if they're a qualified candidate. So later on, when they read the qualifications and responsibilities, all they're really doing is making sure that they align.
Exactly.
Okay, so qualifications. This is always kind of a fun thing to talk about too, because I've seen a lot of job descriptions that, like they'll have a lifelong list of qualifications that aren't even fit to the role. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what would be, I mean, is there an appropriate amount of qualifications? Is there, a go-to or not to go-to type of thing here, or is it very individualistic for each job description?
I think the advice we give everyone all the time is less is more, especially in qualifications. We really just want to know what you can't live without. The reason we say that is because we don't want to miss out on a candidate who could otherwise be amazing, but they don't fit maybe a nice to have qualification. So at the initial part of the hiring process, which is what we're talking about here, we really want to attract as many candidates as we can, because it's more likely that we'll find who we're looking for. Later on in the process, you can get more finicky. When you're having a face-to-face conversation with this person, you can ask questions that speak directly to nice to have qualifications. But at this point, all we want to ask for is the things that we can't live without.
And even if they're hiring on their own, it's nice to set that it's nice to have that minimum expectation for the candidate to base their qualification to that role that they're applying for, because that also gives them the confidence to present themselves in the interview, let's say, because some people would just not apply for a job that requires you to have a bachelor's degree, even though they had years of experience that is exactly aligned to what you're looking for. Because just because you put it on in a job description, again, it should be minimum of what you're looking for, so you can apply, or you can invite as many applicants as you want or as possible, and then from there you can be more picky as you go through the screening process.
That makes total sense. And And then usually the next thing that comes on a job description is the key responsibilities. I've seen a lot of job descriptions that it's almost like they literally try to type out every possible scenario that you might come across on a day-to-day basis. And it's just like, if I'm somebody that's applying and I read that, I'm just like, oh my God, like this is going to be a crazy job. My research has kind of told me that like, if you can stick to like 5 to 8, that's great. If you have to have a little bit more, that's fine too. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really easy to get bogged down with detail in this part, and 90% of the job descriptions that we receive have things like excellent written and verbal skills, for example. And if you're saying in your key responsibilities, this is a customer-facing position and you will be required to build relationships with existing and new clients, it's implied that you also need excellent verbal and written communication skills. So you can just take that right off. I think a lot of job descriptions we see, pardon the expression, but are really dumbed down. I think we need to put more faith in the candidates that they know if one of your main jobs is troubleshooting Office 365, then you need to be an expert in that area. So having two lines that speak to the same thing is completely redundant. In this section, we want to know what it is that the top level duties are. And then I want to also mention that if an employer does not really know what should go here, which is not a bad thing, sometimes people are creating a brand new role. A great hack is to talk to people who are in the same or adjacent roles, because they will have a very good idea of what the day-to-day is really like. And adding in details about what the day-to-day is like is a great way to enhance your job description.
I agree. But I personally don't mind the very detailed job description as long as it's true and accurate.
Right.
Because you want to give candidates a good idea of what they could expect from this role. It will also help them present themselves better during the interview, because they know exactly what you're looking for and they could pinpoint that during the interview, right? I guess the downside of putting a lot on the job description is if you're requiring a lot and you're not paying them enough for that responsibility. So maybe tone it down, set the right expectation, and make it reasonable. I guess that's bottom line.
Yeah, no, and I really like what you said there about having it detailed enough to where like they can speak to it during the interview. And that's really good because it gives them an opportunity to bring themselves forward in interview. They can be like, hey, I saw that this is one of the things that you really need me to do, and I do this great. I do it every day. So and then again, like you said, I also agree with like, sometimes it is okay to tone it down. I think everybody who gets hired for a position anywhere understands that there's going to be other tasks and duties that weren't talked about from the get-go. So I think if, you find a healthy balance on what you put there and then what is just normal things being added on after some time goes by is definitely the way to look at that. What about compensation? Like, obviously there's, everybody wants to know, okay, I've read all this stuff, like, looks like a cool place to work. The job title aligns with the qualifications and daily responsibilities. So now let's see how much they're going to pay me or how they're going to compensate me. What are your guys' thoughts on what to put here? How to put it, how to phrase it. Sometimes maybe we don't put something there. So like, let's open it up to that.
Well, for our process and our recommendation to anybody who wants to have a transparent relationship with the candidates who will then become employees is always lay it out there. We advertise for all of our positions the salary and HR information, including paid time off, whether there's benefits, 401k information, that type of thing. Because it's a long enough process. It's a tiring enough process, and it's a very expensive process to hire. So let's not waste anyone's time. If the candidate is looking to make a lot more than what we're willing to offer, it's best that we don't go through the process. It's just a respect thing. Point that if it's available, I always want to plaster it everywhere on the job description, is if the company is willing to train. Companies are very busy right now and are trying to be as efficient as possible. So finding somewhere that is willing to provide training is sort of like a diamond in a rough. And I believe is one huge way companies can set themselves apart from others is investing in their people's future. I know that's a bit odd coming from the head of a recruiting company, but retention is the best way to keep talent growing, or sorry, retention is the best way to save money in the hiring process. You can sort of redirect the funds you would be spending on hiring new people and put it into who you already have there. They're already familiar with your company culture, they're already familiar with your processes. So by investing in them, you're also reinvesting back in your own business. So training is a really great thing to announce in the first couple lines of your job description if it's available.
Great. Does anybody have any go backs? Anything that we wanted to go through and dig into more detail about anything?
I love that, go backs. I was thinking that it might have sounded random when I was talking about the intro and I talked about the superheroes. So I just wanted to specify that that was in regards to company culture. So if you have something in your company that sets you apart, it doesn't have to be superheroes. It could be maybe you have a softball team, maybe you have happy hour once a quarter, or whatever it is. It's just a great way to showcase the character of the company and what be a good fit for them.
Excellent. Margie, do you have anything that you want to talk about or add on that we haven't had a chance to yet?
Well, I guess I would say that, there's nothing wrong with using ChatGPT. We use ChatGPT all the time, even here in MSP Hire. But if you want to really give a better idea to the candidates that you want to invite to apply to your position, then definitely personalizing it, showcasing what your company offers in your job description could make a big difference. And sometimes the candidates, the most qualified ones, they get to become picky when it comes to the employer that they're looking for. And who knows, this job description might be the deciding factor that they could be looking at when making a decision.
Yeah, no, that's great. And like that kind of falls back on what Sarah said at the very beginning, which I don't think a lot of employers have ever really looked at it that way or this way, which is that your job description is your resume to potential qualified candidates. So, when you're hiring and you look at resumes and you roll your eyes at a resume, just remember, well, maybe I have candidates that rolled their eyes at my job description.
Exactly.
So